Okay, so we're back and it's now time to start installing chain tensioners and sprockets and whatnot. But before we do that, we need to install our sprockets and then also make sure that they are aligned. Yeah, so sprocket alignment is really important. Otherwise, if you have the sprockets out of alignment, then the chains will be wearing prematurely. So we don't want that. So we're going to need the sprockets, we're going to need our beveled washers, and we'll need a whole bunch of shims. So let's start assembling. Okay, so it's now time to fit our shims. So we start off with one of these beveled washers, and the bevel goes facing to the camshaft. Now this engine came to me with 3 washers on either side, so that's where I'm going to start. So 3 of these washers, they're all oiled. And then I'm just going to fit the sprocket holder. Now there's no point putting the woodruff key in at this point because we may have to remove the shims just to get the alignment correct. So we're now going to fit our sprockets. Now remember, the sprocket on the left hand side faces this way, but on the other side of the engine, the right hand side, it goes on this way. Then we'll fit the bolt. I'm just going to use a lightweight impact just to give it some tightness. Okay, so as you can see, I've installed both of my sprockets. I'll just pull the camera out to give you a bit of a better look. So that's how the sprocket on the left hand side looks. And this is how you mount the sprocket on the right hand side. So they've just both been lightly torqued, and both cams turn nice and freely. And so now it's time to check for alignment. Okay, so one of the first measurements we need to take is in here. So you want to make sure that the gauge is just touching and parallel. Alright, so I've got 51.37 plus the width of my straight edge, which is 25.56. That's not going to focus, is it? You'll have to believe me. That adds up to 76.93. This is going to be the gauge that I'm using to measure for my alignment, hopefully. So I need to go to 76.93. So that's, you should be able to see, I don't know if you can see that. 76.93, and I'll zero it. That's where we're going to start, using this little nifty tool. Oh, get in there. It goes over there. And let's hope I've done this right. I'm going to get this all the way out there to measure that left hand side. There you go. Stomsky Racing, he gets some free publicity. So this is the little guide which I'm going to use. So on the 1, 2, 3 side, we're aiming for, can you see that? 54.8 millimeters is what we're aiming for. So that'll tell us how far out we are. So here we go. So according to this, I've got 55.24. So I'm in just about, what's that, 0.44 millimeters away. So I need to add another shim to the left hand side. Okay, let's pull this out. Add another shim in. Put this doodad back on. Put the sprocket back on. So if I'm right, we should be getting very, very close to the 54.8 millimeters, or whatever it was it said. Look at that. Can you read that? 54.74, that's pretty good. Alright, so from 54.8 to 54.74, I'm happy with that. Out of curiosity, let's just rotate the camshaft a bit. $54.78. Now let's do the other side. Is loosen these off. Of course, all of this is only as accurate as your straight edge is straight and the facing of your case is accurate. So let's hope all of that's good. On the right hand side, I'm aiming for 0. And I'm 0.25, I need a slightly thinner one. Okay, so for the right hand side, it looks like I'm about 0.25 to 0.3 of a millimeter away from where I want to be. So in theory, on this right hand side, one of my shims is a bit too thick. But if I take one shim out, which is 0.5 of a millimeter, I'm going to be, you know, a fair way away. But what I do have is I do actually have these custom shims by this guy. So these are 0.3 of a millimeter, not 0.5. So that should, in theory, get me to be almost exactly where I want to be. So let's have a crack. Let's pull these out. So I'm going to replace one of these 0.5s with a 0.3. That'll be fine. Put the sprocket back on. It's weird doing this with a camera in my face, but I do it for you. So what would be really cool is if you could like my video. Go on. Don't be scared. Let's see how close we get to 0 now. I went the wrong way. I meant to put a thicker shim on. Ah, idiot. Oh, actually no, I needed to add that. So I'm exactly 0.5 of a shim away. Pull the sprocket back out. Pull that back out. Put my original 0.5 back in. All of you that were watching the video probably said, oh, he's doing it wrong, he's doing it wrong. Yeah, you're right, I was. Put the sprocket on that way. Actually, see if you can find it. There's a video of a guy building one of these engines and he's put that sprocket on back to front. And they've assembled the engine. It's a really nicely made video. It looks very artistic. I wonder how it runs though. Okay. We are aiming for 0. Look at that. Oh, it was minus 0.02 or something. Hang on. 0.02. Don't know if you can read that from where you are. Let's rotate it. That one's 0, 0, 0. All right, call that. Can you read that? Yeah, you can read that. Okay, done. So now that we know how many shims on the left and the right, we can go to install the idler arms and the sprockets, and yeah, let's get these chains on there. So let's get a magnet. Pull all the shims out. Ah, great, I've got to clean those now. Okay, so let's rotate the camshaft so that the keyway or the dot are facing up. let's put our shims in. Let's put our woodruff key in, trying not to drop it inside the engine. Now let's slide the sprocket locating doodad on top. Now let's do the same for the right hand side. Pull. Oh, they all came off in one, that's nice. Nice and handy. Rotate the camshaft so the keyway or the dot is pointing straight up and down. Install my shims. Install the little woodruff key. I don't know if you can see that. That's back on. Now let's get the chain. This is a little bit fiddly sometimes. I'm just going to loosely put that bolt on there just to stop the sprocket from falling off. Okay, so the chains are installed on both sides. Idler arms have been installed. I'm just now going to use my temporary chain tensioners. And all these are doing is just making sure I've got a bit of tension on the chains so that they don't bind up when I start to rotate the engine. So I haven't got a lot of tension on there, as you can see. So my camshafts are both pointing upwards. The sprockets are only on loose. They're just there to, the bolts are just there to stop the sprockets from falling off. And I haven't put my locating pins inside the sprocket yet either. So all I'm going to do now is rotate this until I get to top dead center. And if I've done this right, the cams should both be sitting exactly where they are. Okay, so here is Z1. This is all a bit approximate at the moment, but if I pull the bolt out, I just want to make sure that my dots are both pointing straight up and down. Or straight up. That dot's pointing up. Oops. And that one's pointing up as well. So I'm now going to put a little bit of tension on these chains, not a huge amount. But that's going to start to dial in the sprocket to where it wants to be when there's proper tension. Do the same on this side. Oh no, going the wrong way. Now you can use your actual hydraulic chain tensioners for this, I guess. Nothing to stop you from doing that. Okay, so now what I need to do is get my locating dowels. So here are my locating dowels, and I'm just going to find the hole that looks about right. Looks like that one there. Oh, don't put it in the wrong way around or you won't be able to thread it out. Goes in there. Should be this one. No. Oh, there, that one. I was one off. Okay. So now let's put the bolts in. So the camshafts are only installed loosely. And we're getting ready to start checking our camshaft timing. So we're at the point now where I need to start doing camshaft timing, but before I can do the camshaft timing, I need to have some rocker arms installed. So we're not going to install all of them, but I just wanted to show you I've had these sent to be refurbished and rebushed. So hopefully that'll focus. Will it focus? Ooh, my exposure's a bit high. How can I fix that? And we've got new shafts, and they just fit in, and there's just the absolutely slightest amount of movement. So yeah, these are done by John Doherty Racing Camshafts in the United States. Yeah, so I'm going to install the rocker arms for the intake and exhaust for cylinders number 1 and number 4. And before we do that, we need to install our rocker shaft O-rings. Struggling with this bloody packet. This isn't a big deal. I know you can buy a tool to do this, I just don't think you need one. But yeah, you just get the O-ring, guide it in, not a big deal. Now at this stage I'm only going to do the O-rings for these 4 shafts. Cool. Okay, let's put them in the engine. Start by installing a shaft. Do it gently so that you don't tear the O-ring. You can sort of wiggle it side to side. There we go, it's just popped in. Hopefully it didn't tear the O-ring. Gonna put some lube on the camshaft. I'll also put some on the rocker arm itself, top here. So I'm just going to push this in. But you can see how this part of the camshaft tower is quite a bit thicker compared to this side. So the last thing you want to do is to install the rocker shafts central. So if you look at the rocker shaft in my fingers, comparing it to the actual rocker arm, if you were to mount it centrally, see how the grooves, one groove is here and the other's here. If you line those up with the bosses in the camshaft tower, the mistake that a lot of people make is they think that this shaft should be mounted centrally between here and here. So they mount it like this, and as you can see, the groove here ends up being pretty much inside the camshaft tower. And it's a big mistake that a lot of people make, and I've actually worked on quite a few engines that for servicing and also rebuilds where people have rebuilt them and they've installed the rocker shaft incorrectly like this, where it's central to the camshaft tower. It should not be. It should be central to the rocker arm. So that means this groove on the left hand side is going to be in the middle of that boss there, which results in the edge of the rocker shaft sort of being flush or just proud. That's actually probably a little bit proud, but I might just tap that through, and I'm just going to use a long 3/8 extension just to gently tap that. And you'll also notice that I haven't installed my bushings yet, because I just want to make sure that the shaft goes in without any interference. So I'm happy with how that's aligned. Let me just double check, or just to show you. I have to zoom out so it will focus because it's getting confused. But that's probably sticking out by 1/2 millimeter. So if I line that up like that, that's where I'm lining up the shaft, so you can see, okay, I probably could go in a little bit further. So I'm going to make sure that the edge of the shaft is flush. Just gentle taps. So that shaft is now flush with the camshaft tower, and I'm happy that that means that the grooves in the shaft are now centralized to the camshaft tower, to the bores. So we have to do this 12 times in total, and that's how you install your rocker shafts. A little bit trickier. Where's the hole? That's what he said. There we go. See, can I push that through? Can I wobble it through? Yep. So we've just got the shaft in to compress the O-ring. There we go. I'm just going to do it gently because, again, I don't want to tear the O-ring on either side. Okay, I can feel it's going to need a little bit of persuasion. I'm going to tap it gently. There we go. Okay, so now we need to install the bolt, the bushing and the nut. So it takes an 8mm hex on the nut side and a 5mm Allen key on the bolt side. And we want to mount it so that you can access the 5mm on the insides. If you're doing any service work and you need to remove a rocker arm, you want to be able to access the 5mm, because we only use the 8mm is only used for holding it. We don't actually, you don't tighten it from this. This just, you put an Allen key on to hold it. So I'm just going to use my 5mm Allen socket head just to go in there, take up the slack. So I'm just going to use my torque wrench, which is set to about 1 gazillion foot-pounds. Make sure that shaft is exactly where I want it. So my hand's probably in the way there, but you can imagine what I'm doing. I'm just holding this solid. And I'll move the camera. Is that a better view? Yeah. Whilst you tighten these, this will expand the rocker shaft and lock it inside the camshaft housing. Okay, that's done. Obviously I'll set my clearances shortly, but I'll do the other shafts, and there's no need to film this because you've already seen one done, so you know what to do. Okay, you want to see another one. Alright, so again we're going to pass the bolt in from the left hand side. Put the bushing on the right hand side, reach around the camera. Just take up the slack. Get a magnet. Now on this, because there's not as much room here, I have to use a cut-off 8mm hex key, because it'll just fit in there. Oh. Didn't quite hold the X key there. Yep, that's good. Just wanted to make sure that the bushing wasn't rotating. I think if you can, when you can tighten these up and the Allen key doesn't rotate, and that means the shaft is locked, then I think you'll be happy. So now that the rocker shafts have been torqued, all the bolts have been torqued I mean, and before I actually set the gaps, what I'm going to do is I'm going to oil through the rocker arm, through the little hole there, and I'm going to let that work its way through. So I'm going to do it to all 4 rockers. I'm going to do the bottom one as well while I'm here. But yeah, so this is the way that I make sure that everything's nicely lubricated before we wear everything to smithereens. You can sort of see that that oil's gone down a little bit. But this is 20W50 oil, so it's going to, it'll take a while to sort of work its way through. So I need to do the other side of the engine as well. While you're watching this, I'm just wondering if you could do me a favour. I just noticed that most of the people that have watched this video aren't subscribed, and it turns out they don't even like the video. I think for 1,000 views, I'm getting like maybe 20 or 30 likes. If you could do me a favour and just hit the thumbs up, because it does help me. It helps the video get noticed by the YouTube algorithm. It'd be muchly appreciated. So yeah, so we're just going to oil the rockers and let that sort of drain its way through. It's not a huge amount. Oh, that one's gone down a bit already. Another drop in there, we'll just top it up. Yeah, so before I start to tighten up my my gaps and start rotating the camshaft, I just want to make sure there's some oil in there between the shaft and the bushing. I do install the shafts dry because I find that that gives me a greater chance of sealing between the O-ring and the camshaft tower. Do it the way you want to do it. Do it the way that Porsche says to do it. I know that someone will say that that's not the way Porsche says to do it, and that's okay. I believe this is the way that Walt at Competition Engineering does his. I know some other people do it this way, but I've been doing this for quite a while now, and it takes a lot longer, yes, because you have to wait for the oil to go through, but so far I haven't had any leaks from the rocker shaft, so I'm happy. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit and I'm going to go and get some lunch.